Supernanny star Joe Frost opens up about living with life-threatening anaphylaxis. Hello friends, welcome to my channel. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Frost said she wants to raise awareness about the medical condition. Joe Frost opens up about living with anaphylaxis. The Supernanny star shares her lifelong struggle with anaphylaxis and her mission to raise awareness of the potentially life-threatening allergic reaction. ABC News. Supernanny star Joe Frost is opening up about living with anaphylaxis, a potentially life-threatening allergic reaction. "I feel like I'm lucky I'm still here," Frost told. Before entering a new place, Frost says she usually does a visual scan of the area. "It's natural for me to do that. It's like Terminator, kind of just like scan every room I come into," Frost said, referencing the 1984 movie The Terminator, in which the titular cyborg assassin scans his surroundings with his eyes. "It literally could threaten my life. It could kill me." In Frost's case, if she comes into contact with nuts, shellfish, or horses, she could develop a dangerous allergic reaction called anaphylaxis. Even the smallest particles floating in the air could make Frost ill. "My ears start to itch, and at the same time my eyes start to swell, and then I just get flooded with saliva. I cannot breathe," Frost explained. "I will become dizzy. I'm getting hot just thinking about that." It essentially can shut down your cardiovascular system. It can cause life-threatening drops in blood pressure. "It can affect your breathing," said Dr. Stephanie Widmer, an ABC News medical contributor, board-certified emergency medicine physician, and medical toxicologist. The first course of treatment for anaphylaxis is epinephrine, which is typically administered with an auto-injector, such as an EpiPen. Frost said she carries 2 EpiPens with her everywhere she goes. Frost also said advocating for herself hasn't been easy because many people don't know the dangers people who can get anaphylaxis face. Airlines. When I was filming 48 weeks a year, and that was a really tricky thing," said Frost. "People get territorial over their peanuts. It's insane." The children have anaphylaxis, which of course has created a lot of anxiety. "As someone myself that lives with anaphylaxis, I totally get it," Frost said at the time in one episode. Frost is now calling for anaphylaxis instruction for people who work in restaurants and daycares. "I want health and safety standards," Frost said. "I want families that drop their toddlers off to daycare to feel that their children are in the care of staff who actually are trained with anaphylaxis and allergies. Because if that's not, then you might as well put a loaded gun in my face, because that's the threat that you've just given me." Laying down the law. But in this instance, it's not a badly behaved toddler that she's taking to task. It's a grown adult. In this particular episode, stay-at-home mom Danielle Colombo from Florida is practically weeping with frustration as her 4-year-old son refuses to nap. Frost's response? To swiftly reprimand her for trying to deviate from the pre-agreed routine. Turn of the century. Supernanny, a reality show in which professional nanny Frost was helicoptered in to help struggling parents manage their badly behaved offspring, first aired in the UK in 2004. The series became so popular that the following year the concept migrated to the US, albeit for a slightly more souped-up, high-drama version designed for American sensibilities, where it ran until 2011. At the time, her methods were revered, quickly gaining mainstream appeal among exhausted parents who wanted nothing more than to follow simple steps that would stop their children from acting out. Frost was severely opposed to both physical punishments, like smacking and shouting and screaming at children, a far cry from the received parenting wisdom of the 70s and 80s. It's really important that we recognize the positive impact Joe Frost has had on parenting. Much of the behavior management revolved around the idea of carrot and stick. The carrot was usually a chart for good behavior, with a treat earned when a certain number of reward points had been accrued. The stick, meanwhile, came in the guise of the naughty spot. This could take the form of a step, chair, circle, corner, or room, but the principle was the same. The child would receive a warning. If they continued the bad behavior in question, they would have to spend the same number of minutes as their age, 3 minutes for 3-year-olds, for example, in the naughty zone. If they left the zone during that time, they would be physically returned to it. During this phase, the parent was neither to engage with their child verbally nor make eye contact. They were to learn that bad behavior would not be rewarded with the attention they craved from their caregiver. This process ended with the parent explaining once more precisely why the child had been punished, requesting an apology, giving them a hug, and moving on. Within the episodes, this approach has varying results. It's all well and good mandating such a technique with one child. But when you have three, all of whom are being wholly disobedient, and just one exhausted parent to corral them, it resembles a particularly protracted and joyless game of whack-a-mole. In one episode with a senior family, it takes around 45 minutes for Mum Debbie to successfully implement the naughty corner concurrently for her 3- and 5-year-old daughters. By the end, she has the dead-eyed, thousand-yard stare of a woman returned from war. It is fascinating to rewatch the show in 2024. At the time, a generation of parents were committed proponents of the Supernanny method. 2 decades on, while some of it still makes a great deal of sense, instigating structure and routine, setting clear boundaries and expectations, getting down to a child's level and speaking to them calmly, without raising your voice, on certain child-rearing points, society has done a complete. They know about cortisol, they're concerned about trauma. All this language is completely new. Alexander's style hinges on helping parents to create a close and loving connection with their children, helping children feel seen, heard, loved, and understood. Because that's what children want, and a lot of behavior is about trying to get that. The second cornerstone, where I would be in line with Joe Frost, lies in creating structure and boundaries, creating a life for them that is contained, in which they can thrive. And the third, which perhaps diverges more from the Supernanny way, is about giving children the freedom to be themselves. You're not just letting them do anything, anytime, anywhere, but you're giving them places where they can just be bored or grumpy, or they can do the things that they love, that maybe aren't your cup of tea. It's all about feeling that it's fundamentally okay to be them. Though they're coming at it from different angles, all of the contemporary parenting experts I speak to agree that the idea of punishment has fallen out of favor. Principally because it doesn't work. Ockwell Smith describes this previous parenting style as authoritarian, which is categorized by having expectations of children that are unrealistic of their age, parents having all the control and expecting obedience and compliance from their children without very much regard for how the children are feeling. Many middle-class millennials now swear by when raising families. The core tenets involve parenting the way you wish you'd been parented, having empathy with your kids, cultivating mutual respect, understanding their cognitive capabilities so that expectations are age-appropriate. But it's also about boundaries. Contrary to what many believe, gentle parenting is not at all permissive. We say no lots. We constantly have an eye on safety. It's just that we discipline collaboratively with our children, with a view on teaching and guiding them, she says. Yet, Ockwell Smith wouldn't recommend naughty steps, timeouts, or ignoring the bad and praising or rewarding the good, because these techniques expect too much of children cognitively. For instance, the naughty step expects a child to sit and think about what they've done wrong, how they've made another individual feel, and what they can do better next time. In reality, this type of hypothetical and abstract thinking is not well developed until a child approaches their preteens. A timeout conditions a child to be quiet, teaching them that, in their moments of greatest need and emotional dysregulation, their parents are in a safe harbor. Children learn to keep big emotions inside and become overly self-sufficient, adds Ockwell Smith. These children grow into men who struggle to talk about their feelings and women who have good girl syndrome and are chronic people-pleasers who put everybody else's needs before their own. This outcome certainly rings true for most of the adults I know. Alexander agrees that, while consequences are important, if your child rams their scooter into another child on purpose, for example, you take the scooter away, punishments can be damaging. It makes them angry. It makes them resentful, she says. The thing that parents often take away is their presence, like vanishing to the other room. The child's deepest, primal fear is one of abandonment. They know they can't live without their parents. So not being able to access the parent triggers a very, very deep fear that every child has, which is, I might be abandoned or I might lose my parents and I might not survive. And therapeutic parenting, but ultimately, children need parents with a strong, grounded point of view, she says. She believes that modern parents are doing too much, bending around their children's needs. Society is putting a lot of pressure on them, telling them they have to be nice and soft all the time. But then either the children are running and screaming